You're listening to Three's a Crowd, the North East Footy Podcast, with Rye for Borough, Steve for Newcastle United, and Ted for Sunderland.
Good morning, everyone around this beautiful world of ours. Welcome to Three's a Crowd, the only North East football podcast where we bring Newcastle, Sunderland, and Middlesbrough fans together for one big happy family celebration. We hope you've all been fantastic, safe, and well. The World Cup is underway, and I am back, baby, with a freshly shaved head, looking young and fresh. Teddy just said, "You're the best looking bloke I know," and I almost cried. It was just incredible. And joining me all the way from Cyprus is the man that they said fought off to play Catwoman for Chris Nolan. It is Ted the Mackham. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. Is it morning? I'm rather tired. As you lads know, the new kitten's
He's been fighting off a kitten. He's been fighting off cats. God.
Yes, Stavros joined us on Thursday evening. Stavros Catley, to give him his full name. He's joined the family, but my God, it's hard work. Yeah, I could have done with paternity leave, to be honest, or paternity leave. There's a thing. But I'm well. Nice to see you back as well, bro. And stop scaring us and stop being poorly and stuff. And,
you're not wrong, mate. You're not wrong. It was a decent bloody scare, but we're back on track.
You look like shit, like.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's not what you said pre-show, and that's upsetting because you're saying it in front of everyone. And over to you, the man, the myth, the legend that is Mr. Steve Wraith. Good morning to you, sir.
Morning, mate. I've had no trouble with pussy. I'm pleased to say it. And
first man who was.
I'm going to do a blatant plug for the O2 City Hall's World Cup Newcastle fan box because that brings fans together. I've stuck the link in the chat. If you do live local, Newcastle, Sunderland, and Middlesbrough, and you're looking for somewhere to celebrate with England fans or commiserate with England fans, get yourself along to the O2 City Hall. But I'm okay, right? You did give us a bit of a shock, mate. I know it's a big week for you this week.
If you are just joining us, unfortunately, I did have a bit of a health scare towards the end of last week, I think it was. We had a seizure out of nowhere, but I am doing okay. I'm going through all the tests and everything now to find out why the bloody hell it happened. Maybe tiredness, maybe Ted's 17th cat purchase maybe put me over the edge. We're not sure yet. We're not crossing out any any of the options at the moment, but we're back and we're strong and we're still here. And I needed to shave my head to join in with the 3 boiled eggs. Is that what we're changing the show name as it comes on to this season? It's World Cup fever. Everybody in every country is underway in America. It's been fantastic games so far. England's still yet to play. They play Croatia. We're going to preview that. Australia did play today. If you've got a bit of Australian in you, give fair dinkum will after that. It's a big win for them over Turkey just this morning. And we've got all of the news coming from the Northeast as well. Big news of Newcastle, Sunderland, and Middlesbrough. My question for you today, tell me who is, and you can leave it down in the comments below, who is the most capped international footballer from each of the 3 clubs? So Newcastle's most capped footballer of any time from their start, the most capped Middlesbrough player to have ever stepped foot in Middlesbrough colours, and Sunderland respectively as well. Who is the most capped international footballer to have played for each of the 3 Northeast clubs? Let us know down below. Teddy Mackhams, have you already got the answer?
I know I was straight off the bat. Yeah.
Do you want me
to do it now?
Is it Granit?
Granit Xhaka, yeah. So it's something like 148 caps for Switzerland.
There's no one I'm talking back to the 1800s. There's no one more than Granit Xhaka.
If there's somebody more capped than Granit Xhaka, I'm hitherto unaware of it.
Oof.
I used hitherto on a Sunday. There we go.
Jeez, Steve, do you know off the top of your head, mate? He's muted.
Yeah,
it's not Alan Shearer because he's.
It's not. I was going to say.
He's usually top of our stats. It's not Peter Beardsley either, who I thought it might have been. It's Shea Given. 77 caps for the Republic of Ireland.
There you go. Any Middlesbrough fans, let me know down in the comments because I'm not going to Google it. I don't Google answers. according to some that people think that they do, but I don't Google it. I will know. Let's get straight into it. It's been a massive off-season already for all three clubs, starting off with Newcastle signing their new number one goalkeeper. Now, Steve, let's set the record straight. We don't need to get off on a bad start here. Can you please pronounce your new goalkeeper's name in full?
Juin.
Bless you, Steve. It was Juin is the new goalkeeper to step foot into the Newcastle ranks. Obviously, letting go of Ramsdale back to Southampton. He was on a loan, obviously not continuing, but it is Juin who will fight for Nick Pope. Do you see Juin as your new number one now, Stevie Wraith, heading forward into the next season? Will he be outposting Nick Pope, or is it a more of a sort of a signing for the future?
No, he's going to be number two, I think, to a new goalkeeper. I think Newcastle will get rid of Pope. Pope's on his way out to join Ruddy and Ramsdale on the exit list. And Newcastle will have a new number one, and our French compatriot will be battling him out. So we'll have a new one and two. We'll have a third choice as well. I think they're going to bring in somebody to replace John Ruddy. Obviously, Mark Gillespie's got another year added to his contract. But there's Newcastle have got up to a decent start, bearing in mind that the transfer window doesn't open officially until tomorrow. They managed to get rid of Anthony Gordon, who wanted to leave, which is a damn sight better than keeping a player until the close of the transfer window, causing an absolute distress for everybody all the way through the window. They've managed to move quickly and bring in a really promising French goalkeeper, capped at under 21 level now, so not far off getting his first main team debut, and they're obviously tracking quite publicly at the moment. Obviously a Spanish winger as well who was at the World Cup. So I mean, look, from our point of view, we're being linked with Trafford again as well. I think Trafford coming in, would be probably pleasing to most Newcastle fans. I haven't seen great performances from him when I've watched him. But, I watched cup finals this year. I thought he played very well for Manchester City. It'll be the price, I think. And I think Newcastle can afford him. I just think that it could be the price. I think he would come to Newcastle as number one. But I think he would be, what are Man City going to try and fleece out of us? So they're going to go for the 40 to 60 million, and that could put Newcastle off. The other thing that might put Newcastle off is the fact that it can't get done until after the World Cup, by the sound of it. So we'll have to wait and see. We really will have to wait and see. The winger that's been linked with Newcastle, Victor Munoz, is with the Spanish team in the World Cup. 30 million for the Osasuna winger, who's 22, who would essentially replace Anthony Gordon on the left-hand side. Again, seems like a good deal. It seems that Newcastle have, at this moment in time, learned their lessons from last season.
Yeah, not wrong.
I do feel as well that we'll see a lot of transfer activity with Newcastle this season, ins and outs. Obviously, Fabian Schär, since we last spoke, has obviously been given another year extension, which I think everybody's quite happy about. Yes, he's 34. But he's still a really good centre half. But we need two right backs. We've lost three. We need to have we need another centre half to come in. We still need cover at left back. We've got obviously Dan Burns going to be there next season. We've also got Lewis Hall, and we need the left winger could be replaced by the looks of it by Munoz. I would bring another right winger in because I think I think he will have to try and get something out of these three players that he spent money on last season. He's going to have to try and get a tune out of Wissa and Alanga, to a lesser extent Walter Mata, who at times really was playing quite well when he took his chances. But I think again, it's a hunch from me, but I do think at Maxton Hall, when they sat down and had that big meeting at the end of the season, I think he will have been told, look, there's money to spend in the and you can spend it in these areas, but you need to get a tune out of those players that you spent a lot of money on last season. And look, he's going to have time. They're going to be training every week together now. There's no Europe to worry about this season. So you'd like to think that Eddie, and we know he can coach players, he's a very good coach. I just hope we can get the best out of those players. Alanga still, even at the international level seems to be struggling. It's almost as if he's forgotten how to play football. He's the one I've got a big question mark over. I think, as long as he has a good World Cup, and he remains fit, I think we'll see a lot more from Wissa next season. And I think Waldemar will do what Waldemar's done. But I think, it will be interesting to see what we do. But it's a big window ahead. Already, I'm looking forward to next season. Not looking forward to watching home games in that awful strip, but we'll come to that, I'm sure, later in the programme.
We will put that up on the screen for you. He didn't preempt me bringing it up either as well. Obviously, I just want to talk while we got you as well. Obviously, one player that's not going to feature for Newcastle anymore is Kieran Trippier. He did leave as a free agent and then went and signed for Wolverhampton. A day later, Rob Edwards gets the sack. Now, Kieran Trippier threatening to rip up his contract with Wolves. Teddy boy, I'll come to you on this one because I couldn't have seen. I mean, Karma's an absolute beach, and then that is Patrick Beach, the best goalkeeper for Australia. Honestly, it was incredible scenes to see. You've got the likes of Jimenez and Kieran Trippier signing on the dotted line for Wolverhampton, saying that Rob Edwards has persuaded them that this is the right move for them. 2 senior signings to go into their squad in another championship battle. Rob Edwards obviously previously going down with Luton Town, taking them down again. One more league. He obviously had previous experience with us, so got us to a flying start, but then gets the sack a day later. Now, Kieran Trippier is said to be livid. These are all rumours, again, coming out from the likes of Alex Court and TalkSport and stuff like that. But Kieran Trippier is now threatening to rip up his contract because it doesn't kick in till July the 1st. Now, he was under the assumption his manager would be Rob Edwards. It's no longer the truth. How would you summarise what is happening down at Wolves, mate? Because it's a right mess and it's Wolves being Wolves. But again, I don't feel sorry for Rob Edwards, but I do feel a little bit sorry for Kieran Trippier.
Well, firstly, just in response to what Steve said, I hope Alanga actually has a good World Cup as well, because I ended up with Sweden in the work sweepstake.
Oh.
So I'm hoping for big things there. After mercilessly mocking Jacob, the Swede who I sit next to at work, about his team's chances, I'll go and pull them out of the hat. But there you go. Anyway, on to Wolves. Well, first of all, I love it. I absolutely love it. It couldn't happen to a nicer rat, could it? But there you go. On to the Trippier thing and the Jimenez thing. I just wonder whether they can actually do anything about it. Now, I know obviously it's a pre-contract. It doesn't come into effect until July the 1st. However, they've signed a pre-contract. It's legally binding. I would be very, very surprised if there's any sort of clause in there that says, unless Rob Edwards is no longer the manager, then we don't want to come. I think this might be a case that they might actually be stuck with it. Or maybe he can put a request in to move straight away. Neither player is going to be short of suitors, and there's somebody out there will want to take them. I'm quite surprised he didn't go back to Burnley, to be honest, Trippier. I thought that might have been a nailed on one for him. But as it happens, that hasn't come about. Yeah, I get it. I can see why they'd be well and truly miffed if somebody's somebody sold you the package. This is this is your timeshare. This is where you're going to be staying, and all of a sudden it's kind of nothing like what they said in the brochure. Paraphrasing Kevin Keegan. Listen, they're bound to be very, very unhappy about it. Do I think it'll affect them? I think it'll be not as cut and dry as being able to rip up the contract. I don't think that'll be the case at all. But I think they'll be allowed to move if they're that upset about it.
Over to you, Steve. Obviously, Kieran Trippier not happy with the Rob Edwards news reports. Again, nothing coming out from the actual face of Kieran Trippier. It's all reported through the journalists that do the best reporting in the world. And Kieran Trippier unhappy with the timing of Rob Edwards' sack. He was said in his announcement video how impressed he was with Rob Edwards, how Rob Edwards helped him get over the line, and how excited he was to work with Rob Edwards. But that is to no more. Obviously, going and appointing a brand new coach for Kieran Trippier to work with in his return to the championship.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say that, he mentioned Rob Edwards 3 times in his interview when he signed for Wolves, and it's no wonder that he's disappointed that Rob Edwards is gone, and that's half the reason that he's gone there. So he's obviously going to change his mind. Pre-contracts, don't know enough about them to know whether he can get out of it, but that's not Kieran Trippier's problem. It's it's his agent's problem. He's going to have to sort this out. But yeah, if you are sold something on the premise that this is the way it's going to be, and then it's changed, I I'm not sure whether I'm not sure whether he's, whether he has to honour his contract. But it's a strange scenario. It really is. It is karma for Rob Edwards because this is what happened. This is what happened with Middlesbrough at the start of the season, and he's been well and truly shafted, hasn't he? So yeah, strange scenario. I hope it works out for Trippier. I'm sure it will do. I'm disappointed in one way that there was apparently talks about Trippier potentially being involved on the coaching side of things. At the club. I know you can't keep everybody, but Matt Ritchie and Kieran Trippier are probably two of the best players we've had in recent times at Newcastle United, as far as commitment, wearing the strip with pride, but also doing stuff behind the scenes, as part of like the players' committee, if you like. I'd love to have seen one or both of them, stay at Newcastle United and work as part of Eddie's team. There's a lot to be said sometimes about the whole boot room kind of thing that Liverpool used to do, promoted from within. And I certainly think Matt Ritchie, Kieran Trippier, or both would have done a great job at Newcastle. So I am a little bit disappointed, even as heads of the academy or something like that. There should be a role for ex-pros. They're up there with probably Kevin Nolan for me as well, another one who's got great experience, has gone on to coach at the highest level. And those are the kind of players you really want to have at your football club. Even going higher, and directors of football, it's David Hopkinson's come in, he's got great ideas, he's got a way of running the football club. But I would love to have seen, I think maybe Les Ferdinand come in and do the job that he did at Queen's Park Rangers. But maybe people are saying that's too sentimental. You're looking at the past, not looking forward. But if they're good enough to do the job, then they should be given an opportunity, I think.
Is it a question again on the Wolves ownership? I mean, I know we're talking non-Northeast here, but it's a funny one from the Wolves ownership to do it now, when obviously they gave him to the end of the Premier League season. If you were the owner of Wolves and you were sitting in last place, you've appointed Rob Edwards at the time that you did. You said, I'm going to give him to the end of the season, and then I'm going to sack him, a week after they've made two decent signings, I would think, at championship level. I mean, have the owners got blood on their hands a little bit, Steve?
Yeah, maybe. Look, owners will do what owners do. They don't give a monkeys about the fans. We know that. Some of them make out that they do care about what they're doing with supporters. But it's a strange scenario. And this managerial merry-go-round was always going to happen. But we now seem to have, we've got so many great coaches and managers now unemployed. Who are going to land here, there, and everywhere. And it changes the dimension. But next season will be very interesting. Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, Sunderland all have Europe. And their seasons this season have been a pleasure for their fans to watch. Yeah. How are they going to cope? Two of those clubs out of the three have got different managers, and it's like starting again. And I think, it's a positive for some players. It's positive for those players who've been, out on their rear, not getting a game, it gives them a chance to impress in pre-season. But then, there'll be some players, and we've just seen it with Trippier, of course, like there's some players who are going to a club or want to play for a club because of the manager. Now those players will be unsettled and want to go. They might not fit with a new manager's plans. So this is what happens in football. Things change, things move around. And I think that's why, I think for Newcastle, despite having a poor Premier League season by the recent standards, that keeping Eddie Howe is the right thing to do, because if you go down that route of changing your manager every 2 or 3 seasons, it can lead to bigger problems. In the club, you don't get the stability, you don't get a chance to build the squad and do what you want. And owners don't care though. We've seen that with Nottingham Forest, probably the best example in the Premier League.
Yeah, not wrong.
It's a wonder he hasn't sacked his manager again. But we'll wait.
Yeah, no, it is very interesting, and I think owners obviously there's an admittance of defeat when you have to sack a manager, isn't there? Because you've brought them in to do a job. That job is to either get you Europe, get you promoted, whatever it may be. And if you have to sack them, it is admittance of, I got it wrong and I have employed the wrong man, isn't it? So, I mean, and unfortunately, for managers, sometimes they've got no idea. I mean, Rob Edwards had no idea. This is hilarious, but he found out on social media before he even found out from the club that he was sacked. In fact, his daughter, once again, who is rife at this, told him, hey, Dad, have you seen Fabrizio's tweeting that Wolves have got a new coach? But aren't you the coach of Wolves, Dad? Well, not longer. When he made the contact to the club, he was sacked. So Unfortunately, Rob Edwards, back into the bin for you, good sir. I'm not sure where you're going to land, but tell you what, it's not going to be nowhere near the northeast, that's for sure, good sir, because you're not welcome back up here. Over to Middlesbrough, their big news is Hayden Hackney, obviously on the lips of everyone, trying to see if he's going to get his dream Premier League move. Obviously, Everton have been the one that have shown interest early. They've come in with 3 bids that have all been turned down. Middlesbrough holding out for that 20 to 25 million sort of bid with add-ons. Obviously, they know how highly Hackney is rated, and we are waiting for a serious bid. Crystal Palace are now coming in. But, lads, this leads me on to Everton, who got hit with an unprecedented fine it's not even a fine, sorry. It's illegal. They've been sued by Burnley for breaking the PSR rules a couple of seasons ago. Teddy boy, this is incredible for me to see a precedent set like this, that Everton have broken the PSR rules. Burnley have gone to the courts and have proved in the legal system that they suffered because of Everton's cheating. Now, obviously, it sets a pretty dangerous precedent here because, again, we are still awaiting 115 charges down the barrel of Man City, but it also, looks at the likes of Southampton and Middlesbrough and what we've just gone through and all that sort of saga as well. But it's a dangerous precedent when clubs are now suing each other because of breaking of PSR rules. I mean, Everton have been sued 40 million. Now, this is obviously on the back end of them bidding for Hayden Hackney. Thoughts are now that Hackney might not be able to be afforded because of this 40 million. I mean, 40 million is no small sum, and it's another boost to Burnley, who have just gotten parachute payments.
So I think somebody's just started a barbecue up and it smells absolutely fantastic. Oh. So if you see me floating off, that's the reason why. It smells absolutely unbelievable. Listen, the danger of this, right, is where does it stop?
Yeah,
because if we're going to go historical terms, and like what is it, a couple of seasons ago, 3 seasons ago now, when this is all down to. So right, does Sunderland then start dragging up what happened in 1974 with Coventry City and start suing them, and it just becomes absolutely a bit of a minefield. The Premier League should be dishing out punishments and make that final, because this just. You're going to end up with a situation where no season is ever going to be completely finished because of legal action being taken after it. It's just going to be that insane. It's kind of, Spurs have managed to stay by the skin of the teeth this time, but, with the, Jesus Christ, the cat's just hurtled down behind me.
That was Catwoman in the behind there.
That was Stelios. Aye. Thanks, mate. Aye. Spurs survive by the skin of their teeth, but what if there's some sort of financial irregularities there? Does that then mean that Spurs go down, West Ham stay up? What is the deadline for these kind of things? So they need to be very careful, and there needs to be some sort of line drawn in the sand about how this works out. On the Hayden Hackney thing, I'm very surprised it's 20 to 25 million. I think he's worth more than that personally. If we could sell Job for 30 plus, then Hayden Hackney is worth that at least. That's me being honest about it. I would personally like to see Sunderland go in for him. It's whether he would come to a red and white team. The enticement is there. He gets to stay in his local area, gets to play European football, gets to play in the Premier League. So, I would like to see a deal done there. We need English players. We need to bolster the squad. Steve's right with those extra games that we've got. There was a fantastic interview with Regis Labrise in The Guardian last week, where he spoke at length about next season, and he's excited about it, but he knows what the challenges are. Even going into the finite detail of clubs who qualify for Europe tend to get 10 less points on average the next season. When they are playing in Europe, they get 10 less points in that Premier League season. So there's work there to do if we're going to combat that and and have another successful season. A successful season for us, obviously, again, is survival in the Premier League, mate.
Yeah, so that's obviously the aim for the Mackems, and obviously it's going to be very interesting to see what happens to Hayden Hackney, where he ends up. Will Everton be able to come to the party with the money that Middlesbrough want? Obviously, that 40 million now hanging over their heads, obviously going into Burnley's pockets. What do Burnley do now? They've obviously been boosted by parachute payments getting relegated from the Premier League, and they've now got 40 million back in their coffers as well. It's an absolutely crazy precedent, and I think it opens up, lads, honestly, it opens up a legal minefield in what happens when we finally hear the charges from Man City. Now, they could be obviously not much, but they could be quite significant where other clubs feel like they've been detrimented by Man City's cheating, and it hasn't been proven yet. But if there is 115 charges that have been laid on the hands of Man City, and some of them were at expense, you could look at the likes of who didn't get Europe because of Man City getting in there, who didn't get this, and that's all, it's all big money. And you don't, the one thing that people don't like is getting money taken out of their pockets. And I think it's going to be very, very, very interesting to see how Everton deal with this and how it sort of obviously sends ripples through the rest of the league, and not just the Premier League, but down to the Championship and even further, I think, as well. It's going to be very interesting, very scary on how to be. Lads, we have got a massive, massive World Cup already underway. It's been some fantastic fixtures. England are yet to play. Obviously, they still play this coming week against Croatia. It's an amazing opening fixture for them. They will be doing it in the nude, unfortunately, or their kit's stolen. It's going to be incredible to see how they're going to get their numbers painted on their backs, and they're going to have to find it. I mean, Teddy boy, would you be happy to see the England team run out in spare Sunderland kits if they could find them, mate? It's an incredible story, this. The kit stolen from the England dressing rooms, from the kit man, before it even kicks off. I don't think I've ever heard of this.
Well, I mean, what a country for it to happen in. It's, I suppose, violence, theft, robbery, gun violence. Apparently Dan Byrne feels right at home. It's a bizarre situation, though. I believe they retrieved the stuff in the end, which is great to hear. It's not quite Pickles finding the World Cup in a hedge, but then again, it's probably a bag of crystal meth with it being in America. But there you go. Yeah, listen. As much as some of the games have been great, I stayed up to watch the Switzerland game late last night. Obviously, we have got a what I would call 11.5 vested interests as Sunderland fans in the World Cup this time around. So watching Jacques Outlead and his team out, bizarre game, absolutely dominated Qatar. But who knew the company with unlimited billions of dollars managed to get a last minute goal and not get anybody sent off when they were hacking down everybody left, right, and centre.
It's absolutely incredible. It's funny how I messaged you the same thing where we were watching it as well. It's incredible to see as well. For those that I wanted, before we go to Troll of the Week, another question for you guys, and leave it down in the comments. Let me know how many players from each of the Northeast clubs. Ted and I tallied this up in the WhatsApp group. How many players from Sunderland, how many players from Newcastle, and how many players from Middlesbrough are representing at the World Cup this World Cup? It's going to be very interesting, and I think you'll be quietly surprised of how many as a combined will be the number in the end. But let us know how many players from Sunderland, how many players from Newcastle, and how many players from Middlesbrough. And there is a tricky one there in the Sunderland ranks as well, which Ted put as a 0.5 as well. Let me know if you think who we're thinking of. It's going to be very interesting to see how England face up against Croatia. It's obviously Australia who have gotten off to a fantastic win against Turkey today as well. We're going to discuss that and a lot more. But at the moment, it's time to sit back, relax, because it's time for Troll of the Week.
Troll of the Week, World Cup flavour. This has to be the best squad picture pre-World Cup. Look at Haaland there. Look at every part of Bacon. But that was very clever marketing. Love that. Well done to them. And I love this. It was flying around the internet this week. The new Scotland strip. You'd buy one of them, lads, wouldn't you? You would buy one.
I'd have it in a heartbeat.
100%.
Yeah, lack of strips for England hasn't put them off their food.
Oh my God.
Talking about eating, how about this? A pat noodle. In fact, Pat Butcher's been doing the rounds this week because of the World Cup. England need this kind of commitment. And of course, when the World Cup's on, businesses do tend to close at awkward times. Here's one of the signs in the Northeast this week.
Succinct, yep.
Talking of signs, hopefully the rent isn't too stiff. And domestic football still makes the headlines as well. Apart from football tactics, we'll also be preparing to somehow destroy Spider-Man in the near future, says Liverpool's new manager. I do love a blue plaque. Liam Gallagher, musician, was asked to keep it down whilst drinking outside this pub. The request was ignored. August 2008. Well done, English Heritage. And how to write hello in Mandarin, lads. I've been practicing this week.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I did get a surprise with Domino's Pizza this week. Other pizza providers are available, of course. Oh, matron.
The voice with it as well.
And where did that money go in Scotland? She hasn't got a clue.
Wow.
And what did you do to Grandma? She called me today. Grandma sees my weed, so I hit a wheelchair. Nobody's rolling today. I have already referred to the strip, lads. One of numerous things going around the internet.
Oh.
Unexpected item in the penalty area. Beep. And Kevin Keegan, of course, in the news recently with his cancer diagnosis. This is a new piece of artwork which pays tribute to KK. It's appeared at Fuocchi's Pizza Experience on Westcott Road, Newcastle. Credit to Craig Comerford for this, but a minor son who became the Messiah, united against cancer. I love that. Well done. Well done, Craig.
Lovely.
Nice little tribute, that.
Good tribute.
Lovely one this morning I got. This reminds me, it takes me right back. If this ball ever hit you in the face when it was wet, you would be finished.
Yeah,
you get whiplash. You get whiplash off that, lads. And what the guys can expect for the World Cup, there's Italy, Germany, USA, Korea, Portugal, Brazil, Mexico should have been on there, by the way, Argentina, and England. Lovely England. Dear God. And Pamela, 5 years ago, I lost my husband, David. I miss him every day, especially when I think about the cheese fries he ate on the way home and never told me about it. David, for the love of God, Pamela, I ate one order of cheese fries without you and have been dead to you ever since. Sometimes I still feel like he's in the room with me. The internet is ruined at times. Chippers is our showbiz expert on Freezer Crowd as well, and he's told us of a new Marvel movie coming out soon. Barrier Man. Thank you for that, Chippers. Great stuff, mate. If you've got any tweets, send them to me, Ted, or Rye at our socials, and we will put them up next week.
Welcome on back to Three's Crowd, the only Northeast football pod on your screens. We are coming to you live on your Sunday morning. We hope you're fantastic, safe and well. It is off season, obviously, for our three football teams, but the World Cup is in full flight. We're going to get the lads' predictions looking at England and Croatia and looking back at Australia beating a massive Turkey. It's a massive win for them today, but we've got to talk about a certain kit that has dropped, and we've got to get Mr. Steve Wraith's thoughts on this. Obviously, Newcastle's home kit has been revealed this week, and now, Teddy Boy, you and I were full of banter, barcodes. We were thinking Greg's has got half 50% sale off. I mean, I scanned the new Newcastle kit, and it came up as a QR code, and it linked me directly to Kieran Trippier's hotel bookings. It's going to be absolutely incredible to see, mate, what's going to be made of this season. Steve, you know what? I'm going to leave you, Steve. I'm going to tell you, boys. This kit, mate, has caused absolutely ferocity over the internet. The memes have been absolutely stellar. We even saw, obviously, Steve dropping one there in Troll of the Week. But this kit, mate, I honestly, when I first saw it, I was like, that's not too bad. And then obviously I dove deeper, and the blue on the shoulders and that. I mean, your first thoughts, mate, on your close rivals and your close friend Steve Wraith's new home kit for this season.
Yeah, it's an odd one, isn't it? It doesn't look like an English kit. It doesn't look like a Premier League kit. It's strange. I can't put my finger on it. In all seriousness, Adidas did us over as well. You know, good few years back now. I think it's when we got relegated from the Premier into the Championship, and they came up with some candy stripe thing that looked like looked like a red and white carrier bag that you'd get from the off license or something like that. You carry your cans home in. Yeah, Adidas are great until they're not. And I think Newcastle have found that out. I don't know what the idea was. It almost stinks a little bit of like, well, they're not in Europe this season. Just give them whatever we've got left in the offcuts room. You know, it's not a great design. I even noticed, Steve, there was even Newcastle fans kicking off about the training kit. Shut up, man.
You can't ask him a question and tell him to shut up. Jeez.
Bloody cat.
I've just seen the tail. I've just seen the tail go back.
This
is what happens when you get too many kits.
Yeah, listen, it's kits. You mean cats?
I know cats.
Yeah. Listen, I saw the Newcastle fans kicking off about the training kit as well. Not too happy about it. They feel it's sort of just a bit of a betrayal on last season's, which went down so well. The away kits were good. There was a bit of thought went into the home kit. It looks like one of those horrible corporate machines that Adidas are. Just kind of going, yeah, well, whatever. We give them what we wanted, but what they wanted last season. Just give them any old crap this season. There's thousands upon thousands will still buy it at very, very inflated prices. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one to swallow. We've all been there. We've all had crap kits that we didn't want. And unfortunately, it's Newcastle's turn this time.
Steve, over to you, mate. Obviously, is it in your eyes, firstly, obviously a crap kit as Teddy has described it, and will you be purchasing the new Newcastle home kit?
No, I won't buy this one. It's not for me. I didn't really like the barcode strip that we had back in the late 80s. I mean, I always feel like the stripes are sacrilege. I know there's still stripes, but I'm just not a fan of the design. I think the blue stripe, which is an Adidas thing this year, bigger stripes on the arms, it's not great. But I mean, ultimately, this is what happens with football strips. That sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not so great, and it can happen with anybody. I'm not going to diss Adidas. They brought some wonderful stuff out so far. I think the away top is something that everybody will want. If the dark blue design is what it is going to be, I think everyone will love that. You're not going to like everything, and they can't just keep bringing out stuff, the same stuff. I get it. So yeah, sometimes you'll buy them, sometimes you won't, but it's always going to get a reaction. It's always going to get a reaction from people. People are always going to have something positive or something negative to say. A lot of people have been saying to me, well, Steve, you might change your mind, when you see it on people. I've seen it on people, and it's just not for me. I just don't like it. But I'll wait until one comes out next year. A lot being made, of course, because there's no sponsor on it. I mean, I think there's something like 8 or 9 teams don't have a sponsor on their shirt currently at the moment because of the change in betting law sponsorship on the front of shirts, for example. So I know JD Sports have said that they will, when Newcastle do announce a sponsor, they will put it onto the front of the shirts for £5, I think it is. I mean, I think that's probably the most disappointing thing, with regards to the shirt at the moment, that people are literally going to have to go back and get the sponsor logo put on. Is it because Newcastle have dropped out of Europe? The amount of sponsorship they can pull in when they're in Europe compared to not being in Europe is slightly different. So maybe it's going to take a time to get a front of shirt sponsor. Again, that's given a lot of those kind of negative vibes. A lot of people who want to be negative about Newcastle, people are saying, well, there's no training ground sponsor, there's no ground sponsor. Now we haven't even got a sponsor on the front of our shirts. It adds to like the kind of negativity that some people like to have throughout the season. So hopefully Newcastle will get it sorted. I'm not on a massive downer about it. Newcastle will, Newcastle are still in the, we're still in a far better position than we were before this takeover went through. And you just got to stop moaning, really. There's nothing wrong with having an opinion, nothing wrong with complaining about stuff. But let's not make it the be all and end all of being a supporter. Supporters as opposed to support. So I'm not happy with it. Don't like it, but I'll buy the next one.
It's going to be very interesting, obviously, to see what the away kit will be like, obviously, because of the ferocity that Newcastle met with their home kit. Another new looking kit will be Middlesbrough, who have just replaced their badge, lads. We did tease this in previous shows, but Middlesbrough have now released their new circular badge. They're going back to a circular badge. No longer is the shield We've gone back to a circular badge as of now, also celebrating 150 years as a football club this season. So we're looking forward to Castor and what they can do with that sort of information. There is a goldish sort of trim to it as well, with 150 years beneath the current borough badge. And then obviously once that is done next season and onwards, we will see it return just to basic circular badge. So a new badge in store for Middlesbrough as well, which is going to be very interesting to see how they can do, and maybe going up to the Premier League in their 150th year has some sort of sentimental to it. Lads, over to the World Cup. England are on the horizon, but Australia played today against Turkey. That's my brain not working. Australia beating Turkey as an absolute upset, I would think. Obviously, Turkey coming out, they had so much. The likes of the players. Not a single Premier League player in the Australian ranks today. First time in a World Cup that we haven't had a single Australian in the Premier League representing us. It was a back five for Australia today that saw them get the Cherries over Turkey in a 2-0 win in Vancouver. It was an incredible spectacle. Teddy boy, I've actually liked the World Cup. I was going in with my breath held because of it being in America, and we saw the ticket prices and stuff like that. But I actually think they've put on quite the show. And I think, I must give America credit. And it's not so much America. It's also Canada. I think Canada, Vancouver, that stadium was packed today, mate. 70,000 in the house to watch an Australian versus Turkey game in Canada at 10:30 p.m. at night. It was incredible, mate. And the atmosphere was incredible, but a great win for Australia. And I know you've got a bit of Australian in you, if not me.
Wow. Okay. I don't know what to do with that last piece of information, But there you go. Listen, I think the games that have been played in Canada so far, it sounds and looks and feels more like a football match. A great win for the Aussies. That's an absolute super win, because that was a tricky group, and it still is a tricky group.
Yeah.
So, Turkey probably would have been fancied to qualify out of that. Probably not much to choose between the USA and Paraguay, but Paraguay absolutely just got battered by the US. Really, really surprised at that. Obviously, another game that I watched because of our interest in Omar Alderete, who didn't put a foot wrong in his game, but the rest of his colleagues were absolutely diabolical, to be honest with you. But yeah, listen, the Aussies will have really, really enjoyed that. Well worth the win as well. It sets it up nicely now. Another win, and that's knockout stages. That's everything they could have dreamed of. What I'm not too keen on at this moment in time is some of the games that's being played in the US. Chart music on the way up to countdown, an actual countdown from 10 for the kickoff is about the most cringe-worthy thing since Delia Smith walked out onto a football pitch. Oh my God, grow up.
Do you get the American commentators? I don't know, because we get the stream here in Australia, and we get the Australian game had Aussie commentators, but every other game's had an American commentator, to the fact where I had one of the American commentators saying, I think it was in the Qatar match, about him running down towards the end zone.
No.
Yeah. No. Honestly, so I watched some highlights. Who did I watch the highlights of? Anyway, it's unimportant,
mate.
And one of the players putting the ball straight over the pipes and into the bleachers, and it's just like,
it's horrendous.
No, just not for me. It's cringe. It's horrendously cringe. I didn't like when the Americans had the World Cup in '94, not just because England didn't qualify for it, but because it was awful. Diana Ross missing the penalty in the opening ceremony, and it was just it's badly done. It's overhyped Yankee nonsense, for want of a better phrase. It's it's diabolical. The refereeing has been a little bit suspect, certainly in the first game. That was fun to watch. But yeah, listen. We're in it now. We're seeing some games that we would never ever normally get the chance to see. So it's fun. It's fun. I like the group stages probably better than I do the knockout stages. Invariably, because that's when England tend to disappoint me the most.
It's going to be very interesting, and much like how Michael Bublé always comes out at Christmas time, Shakira popping up again for the World Cup every 4 years. Good on her. Steve,
She's
it's been
the
a
World
fantastic...
Cup buble.
She is, isn't she? She pops up right every 4 years, does Shakira. Good on her. Her hips don't lie. Steve, it's been a fantastic World Cup so far. I've enjoyed some of the matches, not so much of the commentary, mate, but England yet to come. We'll get the lads' thoughts on that very soon. But have you watched any of the World Cup so far, mate, and your thoughts of the American spectacle that they're putting on the line for you?
I mean, I watched the opening ceremony. I watched the first game. I haven't bothered with any of the other stuff so far. I've got really very little interest in it so far, but it will pick up. I know it will. The group games where, you know, lots of these teams who I've never watched and never have an inkling to watch, you know, they bore me rigid. I know some people, and credit to them, who are literally getting up out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning to go and watch the second game. So credit to you.
Who would do that?
There's one of my mates who lives in Gateshead who is literally going to watch all 104 games. So credit to him. He's never missed a World Cup game at all, ever. But, you know, from getting up, he was thinking of going out there this time round, but the prices were just absolutely ludicrous. So he's watching them all at home again on TV. But yeah, he loves the World Cup, and fair play to him for doing that. Well done, Mark. But yeah, I will get more into it. There's no doubt about it. Some of the big guns are coming out today, so I'm not sure which the early kickoff is, Germany or is it Netherlands, but I do tend to enjoy watching them. I love watching Argentina and Brazil, and you know that's what
Bruno.
World Cup's all about. Yeah, of course Bruno. Yeah, bad result for them. I think they drew 1-1.
Yeah, not wrong. 1-0. Yeah.
Which is a poor result. Qatar, of course, the biggest shock. You know, of the you know, I think of the World Cup so far. Australia, of course, yeah, but I think Qatar's result was mind blowing. But yeah, look, England. I will watch it Wednesday night. I am not expecting a great deal from England in this tournament. If I'm perfectly honest. I don't think that England will have it easy through the group stages. I think the Croatia game, although it's not the Croatia of 4 years ago, I think it'll be a very tense game. I can see that being a draw. I think they'll progress, but it'll be second. I don't think they'll win the group, and I think they'll struggle as soon as they come up against somebody who's got a decent team. So I'm not expecting a great deal. I hope I'm pleasantly surprised. I hope England do manage to get to the later stages, and who knows it, with a bit of luck, get through to the semis or the final even. But I'll be very, very surprised, and I just think it's, you know, these conditions don't suit European teams full stop. You know, but. You know, the Spanish, the Germans, you know, the Netherlands, Brazil, Argentina, Germany. Take your pick. It's one of those teams who I think will win it this year. Yeah, but there's always some surprises, and there's always a team like Japan or whatever who suddenly lights up the competition. Or a surprise African team that manages to do well. So yeah, as for the entertainment, etc. Well, it's typical American. I don't know what anybody expects. You know, the hydration breaks, as Borough fans talking about there, have been, you know, they haven't been as bad as I thought. You know, you're talking about 2 or 3 during a game, which I think is about right. I think we were all dreading where the refereeing was going after the first game, but it seems to have settled down now. You know, that was just one of those games, one of those scenarios where a referee's had a bit of a meltdown. I think maybe he lost his yellow card, but it was a bizarre kickoff, that it really was. But yeah, I enjoy it, and I mean the romanticism of Scotland. I know as an Englishman, I shouldn't really be celebrating that, but you know, John McGinn got the winner last night. I mean, tough game against Haiti was, and they played New Zealand recently, and I think gave them a tough game as well. So I think. Listen, no game's an easy game in the World Cup, is it? They're all there for a reason. So yeah, I'll enjoy watching Scotland. I'll enjoy watching England and some of the bigger teams. But overall, no, not great. And we haven't had American commentary, thank God. We haven't had to hear about end zones and all that, I'm afraid. So yeah, we haven't had that.
I hope you don't. I hope your poor ears don't have to see it. Those playing along as well, the question I asked just after Troll of the Week was how many representatives from each of the Northeast clubs. If you have gotten it already and you're watching us live, congratulations. But the numbers are 12 players from Sunderland, 7 players from Newcastle, and 2 from Middlesbrough. If you can tell me who they are, even better, and congratulations to you. But 12 players from Sunderland representing at this year's World Cup, 7 from Newcastle.
11 and a half.
It is 11 and a half, as he is rightly to point out.
He's not ours yet.
He's obviously talking about Gertruda as well, and I hope I pronounced that right, but I'm pretty sure I did. Over to England, who played Croatia. I'm excited for this one, lads. As a newly found dual citizen of Australia and England, I'm part English. I've been having cups of tea. I've been waking up with an English muffin. I have marmalade now. Don't really like it.
I thought you was Croatian.
Yeah.
Your missus is going to stop me for that.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting household. Thursday morning, 6 a.m. my time. Wednesday night your time. Obviously, England taking on Croatia. I've got a split household here, mate. Obviously, for those that don't know about what Ted was saying there, my wife is Croatian. It's going to be very interesting to see how England shape up under Thomas Tuchel. A lot of people picking Harry Kane for the Golden Boot. I want to get you lads, both of your Golden Boot winners, at the end of the show. So have a think about that as we preview this game. It's going to be very interesting to see how England take on Croatia. Now, obviously, as Teddy and Steve put, it's not a Croatian team of what it was like 4 years ago. Obviously, a lot of players, but there are still the likes of Luka Modric still hanging around there, and it's going to be a tough outfit. I think Croatia are going to be sitting back defensively and letting England come out, much like what we saw today with Australia, and then obviously allowing them to trying to catch them on the counter. But it's going to be very interesting, again, as I keep saying, to see who starts for England. Middlesbrough will be hoping that Jed Spence, the left back / right back, will get a game, because if he was to get another game in England kit, Middlesbrough will be due another payout from Tottenham in their sell-on fee, which is fantastic. Morgan Rogers will be again hoping that he has a fantastic World Cup, because he's on the lips of every big club this summer. And if it was to have a massive World Cup, that might even raise his price tag, and Middlesbrough have a hefty sell-on fee as well. So it's going to be very interesting to there, because Middlesbrough are hoping on for a couple of sell-on fees from that. But lads, I think obviously your likes of Harry Kane are going to be out there. I'm not sure if we're going to see Dan Burn and the likes, but I think we will. Teddy boy, I'll come to you, mate. England versus Croatia. I want a prediction from you, mate. And tell me who you think England are going to shape up under Thomas Tuchel when they face Croatia.
Well, first of all, I do want to point out that we've already had a Mackem scored in the World Cup.
You have.
But not one of our players. I'll let that sit with you. It's almost like a what the fact. So which Mackem has actually scored already in this World Cup? So there you go. We'll just open that out in the comments, and we'll come back to it. I'll tell you at the end of this bit. What was the question?
So talk to me about England, obviously. I'm a dual citizen. Let me know. I mean, as I said, I've been trying to get into the English nature of things. I'm a dual citizen, as I found out. I now need a British passport. So I'm starting to get a little bit of England flair into me. Obviously, Australian through and through. Love the Australian response today. But prepare me for what is as a new English found citizen / fan, what I'm up for come Wednesday night / Thursday morning under Thomas Tuchel. Because to be honest with you, mate, I haven't been watching too much England.
Boredom, mainly. Okay. But listen, going forward, I think we've got enough among the ranks there to worry some of the better teams in the tournament. Harry Kane's had another fantastic season for Bayern. We know all about the quality of Anthony Gordon. Maybe with that move now done and dusted, we get to see the better side of him again. Morgan Rogers, you've already mentioned, I think has been one of the better players in the Premier League this season. I think he's had a great season. So, yeah, Bellingham, obviously. Bellingham might not even start. That's how good. That's how good the options are, and that's sort of that attacking third, if you like. Where I worry is defensively. I honestly am slightly concerned about what we've got at our disposal there. Gueye doesn't look like he has the approval of his manager, and I don't trust what we've got in the centre back pairing. Jordan Pickford has never let England down, and touch wood, that continues as well. But yeah, I just think defensively we look shaky. And if Croatia, like you say, can kind of sit back, absorb the pressure from our top end, then I think we could be in trouble with counter-attacks without a doubt. Personally, I don't see England. That sounds really negative and all that. And I know we're doing a World Cup show, and I'm trying to be positive as much as I can. Can't see us getting past round of 16. I really can't.
It's going to be very interesting. Obviously, Steve, you've got one eye probably on the Germany-Curacao game today. Obviously, Malik Chow and Nick Waltemada hopefully getting a start for Germany. But obviously, Dan Burn, Tino Livramento might be in with a chance against Croatia come Wednesday night, your time, mate. It's going to be very interesting to see if Dan Burn gets a nod.
Yeah, look, I mean, Dan Burn was Tuchel's first pick. You know, he was the big surprise in Tuchel's first England squad. So I think, and of course, you know, he's gone and you know, he's left, you know, maybe one or two more experienced England defenders behind. So I think Dan Burn will feature. There's no doubt about it. At some point, Tino Livramento, I think, will as well, as long as he's fit. But yeah, look, I mean, you know, the heat out there is the thing that, you know, England have to deal with, isn't it? It's, you know, they've been out there, they've been training in the humidity. It's all going to be about substitutions and squad rotation. And yeah, I'm expecting to see both of them play. I mean, Malik Chow and Walter Marder are both starters for Germany, and as is Bruno for Brazil. So yeah, look, it's nice to see your players on the world stage, and you know, it's nice to see them getting a game. You know, the big hope is that they all come back fit and well and ready for pre-season training at Newcastle United's training ground. So yeah, look, it gives us a bit more interest when we're seeing players. I mean, you know, I watched Xhaka play last night for for Switzerland, and yeah, I mean, I didn't realise he played that many games for his country.
Incredible,
so,
isn't it?
It makes that sign of a Sunderland even all the more impressive. You know what I mean? But yeah, look, he played well last night.
Does Tino get a game, Steve?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, as long as he's fit. I mean, he struggled with injuries, throughout last season. But yeah, if he's fit, I think Tino would start. I think Lewis Hall does when eventually England get back to, you know, qualifying for tournaments. I think Lewis Hall and Tino Livramento, as long as they are fit, could easily be England's next left and right fullback pairing for the foreseeable, because they're both very, very good players and both capable of holding down their places in the England squad. So yeah. Just this World Cup came just a little bit too early for Lewis Hall.
Yeah. Give us a prediction, obviously. Teddy boy, over to you, mate. England versus Croatia. I want a scoreline from you. And I also want to get your thoughts on who's going to win the illustrious Golden Boot at this year's World Cup.
Ooh, okay. I'm sorry, it's going to be a ball draw. The first England game, the first group game, tends to be an absolute bore fest. They look nervy and disjointed. And I think that's exactly what we're going to get again. So I'm going to go 0-0. The Golden Boot, I have to go with the obvious one. As much as I personally think he's actually overrated, I think Mbappe will get the Golden Boot. Whole host of penalties that they'll be diving for, because that's what the French do. So yeah, I think Mbappe for that. The Mackem scorer, by the way, was Giovanni Reina, son of Claudio Reina, who used to play for Sunderland and the USA as well. He was captain of the USA. He was actually born in Sunderland General Hospital. There you go.
Unlucky to Mark Slavin, who was the only person who put a comment in. He says, "Has Jill Scott got off with someone?"
I'd hazard a guess and say no.
Gonna firmly land on no for me that one as well. Steve, obviously, give us a prediction, mate. England versus Croatia, and your pick for the Golden Boot winner.
I predictably think Harry Kane will score for England, and I think it'll be a 1-1 draw. I'm not confident we'll win that game, so yeah, I'm going for a 1-1 draw. For me, there's only one player to win the Golden Boot, because it'll be his World Cup, and that's, of course, if the rest of the team play well. It's Lamine Yamal. I think he will have the World Cup. I think this is his World Cup. So yeah, I think it'll be him who finishes top scorer. I think Harry Kane will be there or thereabouts. I think we'll go to town on Panama. I think we will score goals against Panama. I can see that being a 3-0 win. But I can see Harry Kane scoring, and probably being up thereabouts, because you need 4, 5, 6 goals in this, to be the Golden Boot winner. So yeah, I think Harry Kane will be there, but I think it'll be Yamal this year.
It's going to be very interesting. Obviously, Folarin Balogun, obviously a name that Middlesbrough fans were very, very aware of. The American striker is currently leading the thing only with 2 goals. Obviously, we're still very early doors in, but scoring 2 goals for USA keeps him at the top of the charts at the moment. No other player has gotten 2 goals in their game. Will Harry Kane be able to do that and topple him, or will it be someone that we don't know? Will there be another James Rodriguez? We hope so, because that was fantastic viewing that when they had and a player out of nowhere just coming in and absolutely blowing other World Cup teams away. It's going to be very interesting to see, and we're going to bring you all of the news as the World Cup breaks, and obviously all the news coming in from the three Northeast clubs right over this summer in our off-season. Middlesbrough, Newcastle and Sunderland are all on their break. They're all on their holidays. They've got their flip-flops on and we're having a bit of a break, but we've got World Cup football to talk about. England on the horizon. Australia off to a good start as well for those Aussies in the house as well. And we're going to have massive news obviously coming to you over the next coming weeks as the transfer window swings open. Sunderland will be looking to bolster their squad for a European push. What will Newcastle do? Well, there'll be lots of players coming off their books and new players coming in. And Middlesbrough, they've got a lot of players sitting there that want to see where they fit into Kim Hellberg's style. Will Hayden Hackney get his dream move to the Premier League? Well, we're going to cover it right here on Three's a Crowd, as we do every week. Teddy Mackams, the Catwoman himself, thank you for joining me. Steve Wraith, the mean machine from the Newcastle Ways. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. And thank you all out there for tuning in live to watching us discuss Northeast football and the World Cup. It is here every summer, all summer long, each weekend here on Three's a Crowd. We appreciate each and one of you joining in live. If you are watching back, make sure you let us know the questions that we proposed throughout the show down in the comments below, and we will see you all this time next week on Three's a Crowd.
Chitty bang bang, chitty chitty bang bang, chitty bang bang, chitty chitty bang bang, chitty bang bang, chitty chitty bang bang. Oh, you pretty chitty bang bang, chitty chitty bang bang, we love you and all. Chitty chitty bang bang, chitty chitty bang bang, loves us too.
Three's a Crowd podcast will return. That's not a threat, it's a promise.